Welcome, doctors. Let's jump right into this high-yield review of orthodontic appliances. This is all about giving you the core information you need for your AFK prep.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute core concepts, then get into the nitty-gritty of fixed, removable, and functional appliances, and we'll wrap it all up with a rapid-fire recap of the stuff you absolutely have to know. All right, first things first. Before we talk about any specific device, we have to establish the fundamental fork in the road, the two major classes of orthodontic appliances. Getting this right is the foundation for everything else. Okay, this slide really boils it down to the essential trade-off. With fixed appliances, you get incredible precision. We're talking three-dimensional control to move teeth exactly where you want them. Plus, patient compliance is basically a non-issue. On the flip side, you have removable appliances. Their superpower? Growth modification in a growing patient. But, and this is a huge but, their effectiveness lives or dies by patient compliance. This one difference is what dictates our entire treatment strategy. So, let's zoom in on fixed appliances. Since they give us that pinpoint control, it's worth understanding exactly how they pull it off. Let's break down the components that make them the gold standard for most cases.
These three advantages are exactly why we love fixed appliances. First, that 3D control is everything. It means we can move a tooth anywhere in the bone. Second, they deliver light, continuous forces, which is just what we want for ideal biological bone remodeling. And probably the biggest one, taking patient compliance out of the equation means we get predictable, consistent results.
Think of this as your orthodontic toolkit. The bracket is the handle that we glue onto the tooth. The band is a heavy-duty anchor, usually on the molars. The ligature is what holds the wire in place. And the arch wire? Well, that's the engine of the whole system. It's what actually generates and delivers the force to move the teeth. Now, beyond that standard setup, we've got some special tools. The Edgewise appliance is the classic system that gives us that three-dimensional control. Self-ligating brackets are a more modern take that reduces friction. Lingual braces? They do the same job, just hidden on the inside for aesthetics. And then you have TADs. Mini screws that give us bomb-proof anchorage for really tough cases. Pay close attention here, because this is a huge topic for the AFK. The wire sequence isn't random. It's a carefully planned progression from flexible to rigid wires. Let's break down the why behind each step.
You can think of treatment as a logical three-act play. Each phase has a very specific goal, and that goal dictates the type of wire we're going to use. We're essentially going on a journey from chaos to control.
Okay, phase 1. At this point, the teeth are all over the place. So what do we need? Flexibility. We use super flexible round 90 wires because they can engage all those crooked teeth and deliver light, continuous forces. They have shape memory, so they gently nudge the teeth towards a better alignment without being too aggressive.
So once things are straighter, we move into the working phase. Now our goals are bigger. We need to close spaces and, this is key, start controlling the root position. This requires more muscle. So we switch to stiffer wires, like stainless steel, and we often move to a rectangular shape to get more control.
And finally, the finishing stage. This is all about the fine details. We use our stiffest, rectangular stainless steel wires because they fit perfectly into the rectangular bracket slot. That perfect fit is what allows us to express torque, to literally twist the root into its final ideal position. It's all about maximum precision. All right, let's switch gears and talk about removable appliances. If fixed appliances are for precision tooth movement, these guys have a totally different job, and it's usually all about guiding growth.
So, what's the appeal? Well, they're great for guiding jaw growth, and they can be easier on your chair time. The downside? It all comes back to patient compliance. If the patient doesn't wear it, you get zero results. Simple as that. Plus, they just can't do the complex, fine-tuned movements like torquing a root.
Now, this classification is critical for your exam. You have to know the difference. Passive appliances, like a bionator, are clever. They don't have any force-generating parts. They just reposition the jaw and let the patient's own muscles do the work. Active appliances, on the other hand, have things like screws or springs built right in to push the teeth. And then, tissue-borne appliances, like the Frankel, work by changing the pressure from the cheeks and lips. Okay, let's look at the heavy hitters, the specific functional appliances that you're most likely to see on the exam. Knowing which tool to use for which skeletal problem is everything. Let this be your mantra. You never, ever use a functional appliance for a Class 1 case. Their entire reason for existing is to correct a skeletal imbalance,
like a small lower jaw on a Class 2 or a deficient upper jaw on a Class 3.
You will almost certainly be tested on these force vectors, so lock this in. Cervical pull headgear pulls down and back so it extrudes the molars. Bad idea for a patient with a long face. High pull headgear pulls up and back, intruding the molars. That makes it the perfect choice for a Class 2 patient with an open bite tendency. And the reverse pull face mask, that's for our Class 3 kids, pulling the entire maxilla forward.
The Frankel series is basically a matching game for the exam, so just memorize it. FRI is for Class 2, Div 1. FR2 is for Class 2, Div 2. FR3 is for Class 3. And FR4 is for an open bite. It's a really straightforward classification.
Okay, let's do a quick lightning round. Here are the absolute most critical high-yield facts we've covered. If you remember nothing else, remember these. First, how do fixed appliances achieve torque? It's all about the mechanics. A rectangular wire fitting snugly into a rectangular bracket slot. That's what gives you that precise, three-dimensional control over the root.
Second, the force vector is king. High pull headgear provides an intrusive force. That's why it is the go-to for Class 2 patients, where you have to control the vertical dimension and prevent an open bite from getting worse.
And third, remember how passive appliances work. They aren't active. They don't have springs. They simply posture the mandible forward, stretching the patient's own muscles and tissues to redirect natural growth and correct the skeleton.
And for a final thought, always consider how material science dictates your clinical strategy. Every time you choose a wire, you're making a calculated decision, balancing the need for gentle, biological forces against the need for rigid mechanical control. Mastering that balance? Well, that's the art and science of orthodontics.